I just said what's up, bro. I just said what's up, bro. I said what's up. That's it, nigga. I was being polite, my mother, nigga. Straight up. What type of time you on, nigga? Yeah, I'm like that for real. I'm like that for real, nigga. On too. Trying to move the light tonight. Trying to move the light tonight. You trying to move the light tonight, right? I'm watching something like that. I bet. Keep it like that, homie. Nah, you better leave me the fuck alone. Ain't nobody fucking with you. Straight up, bro. I ain't the motherfucking one, bro. I promise you. I promise you I ain't gonna be the first time. Yeah, this will be the last time. I promise you I ain't the motherfucking one, nigga. Facts. I promise you. Oh! Hey, daughter outside! Bro, my daughter outside! My back. Get on the ground. Bro, my daughter outside, bro. Hell no. You better leave me the fuck alone. Ain't nobody with you. Straight up, bro. I ain't the motherfucking one, bro. I promise you I ain't the one. I promise you I ain't the one. The first time. Yeah, this will be the last time. I promise you I ain't the motherfucking one, nigga. Facts. I promise you. Oh! Hey, daughter outside! Where my daughter?
It started like any other night. Bright fluorescent lights, a quiet convenience store, people coming and going without a second thought. But somewhere between the aisles, between the shouting, between the confusion and fear, something shifted. Because within moments, a man would be lying in a parking lot surrounded by shell casings, and the city would begin asking the same haunting question: what really happened inside Jakob's Food Mart? At first, the story sounded simple. Police said a man was armed, threatening people, making dangerous movements. But when surveillance footage finally surfaced months later, the internet noticed details that didn't quite line up. And then came the revelation that changed everything. The weapon everyone believed was real wasn't real at all.
About why Gastonia officers shot and killed a man over the weekend. That shooting happened inside Jacob's Food Mart on Gaston Avenue Saturday night. Police say two officers were doing a compliance check at the store shortly before 6. When they got there, they say Derrick Manigault was in a, quote, agitated state, waving a gun and making threatening movements. And that's when police shot him. He died at a hospital. The officers have been placed on paid administrative leave while the State Bureau of Investigation looks into the...
January 10th, Gastonia, North Carolina. Inside a neighborhood convenience store, tension had already been building before anyone realized how serious things were about to become. According to investigators, Derrick Manigault had been arguing with another person outside the store. The confrontation didn't end there. It followed them inside. Witnesses described Manigault as agitated, angry, pacing with explosive energy that made everyone nearby uncomfortable. And somewhere inside that crowded store, two plainclothes detectives were already present, not responding to violence, not searching for a suspect, just conducting what police later described as a routine alcohol compliance check. But within seconds, routine disappeared. Surveillance footage captured Manigault shouting repeatedly, "Do you want to lose your life tonight?" The words echoed through the store. Customers froze. Employees watched nervously. And then came the moment that would defy everything that followed. Video appeared to show Manigault revealing what looked like a handgun tucked into his waistband. He grabbed it, held it, displayed it openly, and instantly panic filled the room. Because nobody there knew whether the weapon was fake. Nobody knew whether someone was seconds away from dying. Not the customers, not the detectives, not even the man holding it. What happened next unfolded in seconds, but those seconds would later be replayed, slowed down, dissected frame by investigators and viewers across the country. Police say one detective feared for his life, feared for the lives of everyone inside the store, and then gunfire erupted. 3 shots, loud, sudden, chaotic. The detective fired as Manigault moved toward the exit. But here's where the footage becomes unsettling. At the exact moment the first shots were fired, Manigault did not appear to be aiming the apparent weapon at anyone. He wasn't charging. He wasn't pointing it directly at customers. Instead, the footage seemed to show him moving away toward the door, trying to leave the store, still holding what looked like a gun, still creating fear, still escalating the situation, but moving away. Then more shots rang out. Manigault stumbled into the parking lot. The detective followed behind him. And outside, the chaos only intensified.
And we are following breaking news out of Gastonia tonight. Newly released video released that shows a deadly officer-involved shooting. And we want to warn you that the video may be disturbing. It is from an incident at a Gastonia convenience store back on January 10th. It involved a pair of Gastonia detectives doing an alcohol compliance check at Jacob's Food Mart on Gaston Avenue.
I just said, what's up? I just said, what's up? I said, what's up? That's it. Straight up.
Investigators say the video shows Derrick Manigault, the man in the red tracksuit, getting into an argument with another man. Their argument resumed inside the store. After several exchanges, Manigault is heard saying, "You trying to lose your life tonight?" Manigault stands in front of the door and pulls what appears to be a handgun from his waistband. One of the plainclothes Gastonia detectives was at the counter, pulled his gun right away and began firing at Manigault.
Facts. I promise you.
The detective followed Manigault to the door and continued firing. The other detective was outside and also fired his weapon at the suspect. Manigault collapsed and died at the hospital. His weapon turned out to be a realistic-looking plastic imitation gun. Witnesses told investigators the undercover detective tried to de-escalate the situation before pulling his weapon. Gaston County District Attorney Travis Page determined the use of deadly force was justified. Gastonia police are conducting an internal review of the incident.
The surveillance footage outside the store feels almost surreal. Derrick Manigault appears to trip while running toward the parking lot. People scattered. Cars sat frozen beneath parking lot lights. And somewhere off camera, another detective was already moving into position. The first officer fired again. 3 more shots. Now the total had climbed to 6. But it still wasn't over. Audio from the surveillance footage captured shouting in the darkness, "Drop it, get on the ground." Then the footage suddenly freezes. Police later claimed this was the moment Manigault pointed the apparent gun toward the second detective. But there was one major problem. The second detective never appeared on camera. Viewers couldn't see where he stood, couldn't clearly see what he saw, couldn't fully verify what happened in those final moments. All they had was audio, and then more gunfire, 3 shots, then 2 more. By the end of the encounter, roughly 11 shots had been fired. 11 in less than a minute. The parking lot had transformed into a crime scene, and Derrick Manigault collapsed a short distance away.
And we're learning more about a shooting involving a Gastonia police officer. It happened Saturday at Jacob's Food Mart on Gaston Avenue. The North Carolina SBI says the victim, Derrick Manigault, died from his injuries. Right now, we're still working to find out what led to that shooting, and both officers involved remain on administrative leave as the SBI continues its investigation. Gastonia police say the department will also conduct its own internal review.
It was a deadly police shooting in Gaston County. This happened back in January. But we have video from that fateful night showing what happened and why.
And the new video comes just days after police announced the officers' actions were legally justified. So let me warn you here, the video you're about to see may be disturbing to some.
The newly released video shows Derrick Manigault getting into an argument with someone in front of the store. Manigault goes inside where 2 plainclothes officers were conducting an alcohol compliance check. The man outside who argued with Manigault then also enters the store.
You trying to lose your life tonight? You trying to lose your life tonight, right?
The argument continues, and Manigault is heard saying to the man, quote, "Do you want to lose your life tonight?" Video then shows him pulling what appears to be a gun out of his waistband and waving it around. Now, the man on the right side of the screen in the gray t-shirt is one of the officers. After waving the gun around for a few seconds, Manigault goes to exit the store, gun still in hand. Video shows the officer in the gray t-shirt opening fire on Manigault, who proceeds to run from the store.
While running, the officer fires multiple rounds again. This is after the police department says Manigault raised his gun to fire at the officer beforehand. The department highlighted this still image during the incident. After the shooting, we're told officers began rendering life-saving measures, but Manigault ultimately died from his injuries. Police say they later learned Manigault's weapon was not even real, it was a replica. The department says any loss of life is of course tragic, but said, quote, it was Mr. Manigault who put this sequence of events into motion, end quote. We're told there will be no charges filed against those officers.
When investigators finally recovered the weapon, everything changed, because the gun that triggered fear throughout the store wasn't a real firearm. Police later confirmed the weapon seen in Manigault's waistband and hand was fake, not capable of firing, not capable of killing anyone. But by the time that discovery was made, Derrick Manigault was already dead, and suddenly the case became far more complicated. Some people argued the detectives had no way of knowing the gun was fake in the middle of a rapidly unfolding confrontation. Others questioned whether deadly force was necessary against a man who appeared to be moving away when the first shots were fired. And another detail only intensified the mystery. Neither detective had body cameras because they were wearing plain clothes, meaning their surveillance footage from the store became the primary visual record of what happened. No body cam footage, no direct perspective from the officers themselves, only fragments, angles, audio, and unanswered questions.
Back turned and with a prop gun in his hand, looking at an undercover officer firing a real gun. This is one of the last images of the man in red alive. Thanks for joining us. I'm Scott Wickersham.
And I'm Gina Esposito in for Erica Bryant. The new image comes with the district attorney announcing he will not file charges against the officers involved in the deadly shooting at Jacob's Food Mart in Gastonia in January. Only Channel 9's Gaston County reporter Ken Lemon spoke to that man's wife today. And Ken, she says she won't give up the fight for justice.
She won't, and that report shed some new light. Now, according to that report, this all started with an argument between two men right over here at Jacob's Food Mart there. At the same time, Gastonia police were holding an unrelated underage alcohol sales investigation. Now, that report says that Derrick Manigault came outside of that door right there with what they now know is a fake gun. An officer inside, undercover, fired some shots, and then both officers followed him across this street.
He was...
Rebecca Inslee Manigault fought tears.
He was my biggest supporter, and I was his. So he knows I'm not going to give up.
We spoke just after the district attorney told her he would not file charges against the Gastonia police officers who shot and killed her husband, Derrick Manigault, at Jacob's Food Mart in January.
My confidence is shattered. The wrong decision was made.
DA Travis Page's report says the Constitution does not require police to gamble with their lives in the face of a serious threat of harm. The report includes a picture of Manigault with what turned out to be a prop gun in his hand. It says he created a threat and at least 3 times asked the man he was arguing with, "You trying to lose your life tonight?" The images come from the store security camera. Manigault's wife says she saw the entire video.
The gun was never raised. It was never raised.
The report said Manigault's hand moved up as he left the store. The undercover officer fired multiple shots at him.
The officer emptied his clip.
In this picture, you can see the officer standing in the doorway firing at Manigault. The report says another undercover officer in a car outside stepped out.
He was hunted. He's here.
Someone with a cell phone captured what happened next. The DA's report does not say whether the officer gave any commands before the shooting. Manigault's wife says she didn't hear that in the video.
There were no verbal commands. There was nothing to comply with.
Now she's coming to grips knowing that the officers will not be charged.
Heartbreak all over again. And then it's the rage that builds up.
The officers are back at work. Manigault's wife told me she respects the fact that the district attorney has tough decisions to make, but she's working to find a way to fight this one and may even seek help from the Federal Department of Justice. Live in Gastonia, I'm Ken Lemon, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Ken. And we have a copy of the DA's report available with this story. It's on our website.
The North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation eventually completed its investigation into the shooting. Its findings were handed over to the Gaston County District Attorney. Then came the announcement: no criminal charges would be filed against either detective. The officers' names were never publicly released, at least not initially. Police said the detectives had been placed on paid leave during the investigation while the department conducted an internal review of the shooting. But for many people watching the footage online, the case didn't feel finished because the video raised different questions without offering complete answers. Questions about fear, about perception, about how quickly life or death decisions are made in moments of chaos, and most disturbingly, questions about whether anyone truly understood what was happening until it was already too late. In the end, the entire encounter lasted only seconds. Seconds between an argument and gunfire. Seconds between panic and death. A fake weapon. 2 detectives. 11 shots. And a surveillance video that continues to divide everyone who watches it. Because depending on who you ask, this was either a justified response to a perceived deadly threat or a tragedy fueled by confusion, fear, and irreversible decisions made in the dark. And maybe that's what makes this case so unsettling. Not just what happened, but how fast everything spiraled beyond the point of no return. Alright y'all, there y'all have it. That's the story of Gastonia, North Carolina man getting shot to death by the police, undercovers at that, for having a fake gun in a convenience store. Hey man, get in that comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Drillers and trappers, we outside trapping and drilling 247. Don't go nowhere. Watch that next video. Gang!